Hi, this is Tony from Cooking Around. Today we're going to make a meat lasagna. So how do I make that? Well, I like using medium ground beef. You can use leaner, but I like the taste of the fat, and so I use a lean ground beef. And I add some pork sausages. So I have about here, say about 400 grams of pork sausages, and I have 500 grams, half a kilo of ground beef. And this combination is absolutely beautiful. So let's get started. Okay, we have our pot here on medium-high, and I add about 2 tablespoons of oil. You can use any kind of oil that you want. I'm just using regular sunflower oil. And I have taken our sausages and I've taken the skin off, or the casing, and we throw that inside. And what we want to do is smash down and break the sausages. You want them all broken down. If they stick to the bottom at this point, don't worry. It's all good. And we break it down as much as possible. And we take half our kilo of meat. And we break that all down and stir until it's all broken down. And now you can see there's still a lot of liquid on the bottom there. So I'm going to drain just a little bit of that liquid in a few minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on stirring until I have this almost completely dry, the meat mixture. But I keep on breaking down the meat mixture as much as I can and as possible. And now we add 4 cloves of garlic, half a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. And now you can see it's starting to come along nicely. Most of the liquid is gone. So now what I do is I add about half a bell pepper. And now we're going to let that go for another 3 minutes on medium-high, and then we'll be back. Okay, you can see that all the water has evaporated from this point, and now what we do, make sure nothing sticks. I take my famous tomato sauce, homemade tomato sauce. You can check that out in my other video and see how it's done. And this tomato sauce is a little bit different than the other one, because this one here, I put in a little bit of onions and vegetables, like I showed you how to make it custom. And at the same time, what you can do, and it also has oregano, basil, and some other goodies in my tomato sauce, so I don't have to add it. But if you want to add more spices, you can add it towards the end of this recipe. Now, you can see that it's still not liquidy, so you wash the bottom of the jar and you add more liquid. So here you can see that I transferred to another pot, and I added a little bit more water to the sauce. It's going to cook for 1 hour with the top on, and then the other final half hour with the top off. But I want you to keep an eye on it to make sure it does not evaporate too much and it loses the liquid and it could burn. So every now and then you come and you give it a stir and you check on it about every 10 minutes. Okay, we're back. It's been 1.5 hours. You can see it's been simmering here, and it needs maybe another, 10 minutes, but you can see that it is starting to lose most of its liquid in the sauce. So what's going to happen is when you let this cool before you put it into the lasagna, the meat will actually reabsorb most of the sauce into it, and that will make it a little bit more thicker, because you don't want it too runny, because your lasagna is going to be runny. Now we take about a 1/4 cup of fresh parsley. We mix that in. Now it's very important at this point that you give this thing a taste in order to determine whether you need more salt or some other type of spices or pepper. It's absolutely perfect. So basically now, turn off the heat, let it cool, and I'll get back to you with the lasagna. And here we are back at the blender stage. Now what we're going to do is we're going to blend our cheeses in order to make our cheese covering for the lasagna. So I'm putting in here. So you can use ricotta if you want. I like to use cottage cheese. You can use cottage cheese and ricotta. I'm a little bit fussy. I like my type of cheese that I like. So I'm going to be putting in here about 250 grams of fresh cottage cheese. And I like my mozzarella to be of the soft type. I find it a better texture, and for some reason for me it tastes better. So I'm adding 3, which is about what here, about 300 grams, 100 grams each, and I'm saving 100 gram for the top. 1, 2, 3. 1 egg. And about a quarter cup of Parmesan cheese. Now this is a meat with 4 cheeses. That's the way I like it. You can add more or you could add less, or don't put the Parmesan cheese in it. And last but not least, the raisins of the raisins. You can see my girlfriend still has not given me my present for Christmas, last Christmas. So I'm still using the bag. So that's about half a teaspoon. And we put it on and we shoot her up. And that's the way. And here we are ready to put the lasagna together. Our meat sauce is absolutely perfect. We have our cheeses, and like I said, we are going to make this a 4 cheese. So I already showed you 3, now ready for the 4. So what we do is we take a lasagna, and I like to use glass, use what you want, and we're going to try to divide our meat and our cheeses into 3 different parts as best as possible. So we take 1 part of the meat mixture and we spread it out about as thin as possible. You can make it thicker, you can make it thinner, it doesn't matter, it's whatever makes you happy. And now I take these lasagna pieces. Now these are the type that are already pre-cooked and they will cook. I don't like to pre-boil them, it's too much trouble. Now I know here they're a little bit small, but when they cook they will expand. So you put those 3 on here, and now we take the mixture that we made in the blender and we take about 1/3 the mixture. Now even if you don't get this right and 1 layer is off and 1 layer is on, who cares? Who cares? Now what you do is spread this all around. The mozzarella will spread around as it's being cooked. Now we take our other cheese. This is Gouda. Now you can use any cheese you want basically, but I like Gouda. I don't know why, but this cheese, I really like it a lot. So I sprinkle that all over on top of this cheese mixture, and this one will give us our 4 cheeses. Now the playing cards. 1, 2, 3. Even if it's broken, don't worry about it. It's all well hidden. Nobody's gonna see it. Oops, see, I even cracked it. And now we take the meat mixture again. And now at this stage, I add the cheese over the meat. Now this is the way I do it. You can do it different layers, different ways. This is basically the way I do it, because I want it to be 3 layers. Now, people can argue with me, oh no, I don't do it that way, I do it this way. Well, you know something, do it the way you like. And now, we add another 3 layers. 1, 2, and 3. I now put in the rest of the meat sauce, whatever is left over here, which I'll just give it now a very thin layer. And now, I add this one on top, and I stir that around. And now, the rest of the cheese here. There we go. And now, to top it off, I have an extra 100 grams of mozzarella cheese just to top it off, to seal off the top. That's the way I like to do it. And last but not least, some more Parmesan cheese just sprinkled on top like that, just to give it that extra zest flavor. And there we go. It's ready for the oven. We take our foil to the measurement. And we pop it up in the middle. And we cover it, but I don't want you to press down on the foil. Make it like a little tent here. And you don't have to really be 100% sealed. Okay? Now this is going into the oven for 45 minutes at 325 because it's a gas stove. If it's an electric stove, I suggest you go up to 350. It's going in for 45 minutes covered, and then I'm going to remove it. I'm going to take the cover off, and I'm going to cook it still longer for another 15 minutes for a total of 1 hour of cooking. So, come back when it's ready, and here we are with the finished product. Now, I know sometimes with the lasagna they want it all white on top. I kind of like this blend of colors with the meat sauce and just to make it even nicer, what I do now is I take some dried parsley and I kind of just like sprinkle that on top and just kind of like perk it up. See how that's looking? Isn't that looking awesome? Now what do is I do not cut this until half an hour. Because right now, if you would cut it, it'd be messy, go everywhere, and it wouldn't be firm. And I want to say thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much for letting me share one of my favorite recipes with you. And don't forget to sub, and I'll see you again on my next cooking recipe. Thank you very much and enjoy.